Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS slate breakdown for Tuesday, April 29th. We're breaking it down. We got a big slate to go over on both DraftKings and FanDuel. I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann. Now let's dive in. We're going to start off by going over some review of yesterday's slate, followed by today's slate, pitchers to consider, some stacks to consider. And let's dig into it now. But before we do, come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do. The props, the DFS, you get it all for one low price. Now, let's dive in. See what we can uncover on this nice Tuesday morning here. 10 games on both sites, I believe. Yes, 10 on both. So, starting with the perfect lineup from yesterday on DraftKings, we got a 6-game slate. Tomo Sagano got it done. JP Sears got it done. So two very low-owned pitchers were there. We did talk about Sagano a decent amount. You know, he's been good, and the thing with him is he just knows how to pitch. He doesn't throw very hard. He gets by on placement and movement, and yesterday those things were working, so he crushed it. Baltimore, 2-man stack, then all one-offs. Interesting thing is that no Braves were here, which really changed the whole slate. There was a Colorado game. They were going high-owned, but hey, none of them in the perfect lineup. The winning lineup now goes to Kevin Robb, 21-28. They had Sears, they had Martinez, then they had a, 4-man Houston stack, a 3-man Colorado, and a one-off of Michael Harris, which made it happen. They had 6 runs. He scored 16. Interesting thing here is the Colorado aspect. They had a 3-man Colorado stack, and they only scored 3 runs, but we had a home run from Goodman. Beck had 2 doubles, just did enough, as well as McMahon just kind of getting there. And Kevin Robb still won by, a little over 4 points. So congrats to him. Now let's move over to FanDuel and see what we got over here. We have Sagano. We got a 2-man Tiger stack, and then all one-offs. Not using near the salary, but 254.4 winning lineup, or perfect lineup score. Winning lineup goes to MH. You won 20K, 186.4. They had Sears. They had that 4-man Houston stack, 3-man Detroit, 1 Dodger, and Mookie Betts, who's been terrible to start the year, with 6.5. So, congrats to MH. You got it done. The old 4-3-1 did it again. That has been probably the most winning type of lineup so far this season for FanDuel. We will keep track on how that goes throughout this season. Now let's jump into today's slate. Starting with pitcher, our high owned Nick Pivetta, 29% owned. He's 9,500. We got him at 21. He leads our projection, and he's near the top in consensus, but not at the top. Pivetta has been absolutely unreal to start this season, and this looks like a real pitcher's duel in this matchup. It's Pivetta versus Webb, but digging into Pivetta, he has now had 5 starts this season. He is at a 2.32 FIP, a 1.2 ERA with a 27% strikeout rate. He's been extremely good. Now he's at home, which he's crushed it at home. It's a pitcher-friendly park. He is allowing 41% fly balls, decent amount of barrel balls, which is pretty normal with Pivetta. His issue has always been he can be really good for a few innings, and then he makes 2 costly mistakes that the other team always takes advantage of. This year, he's just been a little more consistent. Now, this Giants offense has been very good. Don't love going against them, but Pivetta's been great also. I like Pivetta today. Absolutely going to have some of him. We got a run total of only 6.5. This is going to be a very close, contested game. Low scoring is very, very likely. I'm fine having some Pivetta. I don't know if he should necessarily be the highest owned guy, though. Taj Bradley, 8K, 28% owned. This is an interesting spot. Steinbrenner Park is looking like it is fairly hitter-friendly, but winds are blowing in pretty hard today, but it is warm. Bradley's been much better at home, and we know there is big-time upside. 4.23 FIP over the last 20, 4.5 over the last 5. When he's on, he's getting, 7, 8 strikeouts a game, but he can get touched up. He just gave up 6 to the Yankees, gave up 3 to the Diamondbacks, and 4 to Texas. But the other 2 starts, 2 earned runs, 1 earned run, 7 Ks in both of them. There is big time upside, and the Royals really have not been very good to start this year. 228 average over their last 20, 100 ISO. They do have a low K rate, but they just haven't been good swinging the bat, and the winds blowing in are not going to help them. I think this is an interesting spot for Bradley. I'm fine having some. I think 8K is a totally reasonable price for him. Willing to have some, absolutely. But another spot where I don't feel like I have to go. There are, 5, 6 pitchers I like on this slate. Logan Webb, 9,800, so 300 more than Pivetta. And the dude has absolutely been dealing this year. 1.77 FIP over his last 5. 1.44 ERA. 32.2% K rate. That's the most interesting thing to me about this Logan Webb start to the season. He's averaging 10.9 Ks per 9. And that's not him. From what we've seen for years, that's not him. 22% K rate over the last 20 starts. So maybe he has changed some things up to get some more whiffs. I need to dive into that a little bit more to see if it's a little more sustainable. But guy has been different this year. At least 5 Ks in every single start this season with upside of 10, 12 Ks in 2 different starts. They were strikeout heavy teams, which San Diego is not. But the guy has been dealing. His StatCast looks great. Padres lineup has been injured, not quite as good as it was to start the year. Splits are kind of in Logan Webb's favor here, but San Diego has roughed up Logan Webb a bit. 305 average in 101 plate attempts, but still not hitting the ball that hard. Does look like Luis Arias will be back, so that doesn't help Webb, but all in all, it's an interesting spot. It's just last season, Padres kept getting to Webb. Years prior, Webb had been good against them. Which force wins today, not totally sure, but it's an interesting spot. I like Webb. I like Bradley. I like Pivetta. Those 3 are the highest owned, all around similar ownership. I like all 3. Very fine sprinkling them in. Next, we got Jacob deGrom, 8,800, 22% owned versus the Athletics. Look, we know who deGrom is for his career. He's been absolutely amazing. But so far to start the year, 4.56 FIP, 3.33 ERA, 24% K rate. He's not the deGrom of old. However, he has faced Boston, Seattle, Dodgers, A's, Tampa Bay. Mostly all good hitting teams. So, is that FIP ERA a little elevated due to that, or is he just not pitching as well as he has in the past? Or maybe he just needs a little more time to fully get into, game shape. But pitch counts are getting up there. He's efficient. He works deep into games. I'm fine having a little Jacob deGrom to see if he can have that old elite best pitcher in the MLB without question type game from deGrom. But I am a little worried at 8.8K about him with some of the numbers we're seeing from him so far this year. But I know that K rate's going to come up throughout the year. I think this 24% K rate is just artificially low due to maybe who he's faced and just him working back into shape. I mean, he's only had like 8 games pitched in the last 2 seasons. So, and if you go to 3 seasons, it's like 13. So it may take some time for DeGrom. I'm interested, not fully bought in, but fine having a little bit. Bryce Miller, 8,200, 21% owned. I absolutely love this spot for Bryce Miller. I'm going to have a decent amount. It's a guy at 3.07 FIP over the last 20, 3.39 over the last 5. His ERA over the last 5 is 4.26. He's been pitching much, much better than what his ERA has shown. All while he is way better at home. Averages 30% more fantasy points at home. 2 of his 5 starts have been at home this season. I like the spot for him. StatCast data has been a little iffy, 46% fly balls, but hey, there's not much hard contact, not many barreled balls. You got a big T-Mobile Park, very pitcher friendly. I think this is a great spot for Bryce Miller. And then if you go look at the A's, they're striking out a ton versus righties. 27.9% K rate over the last 20 games versus righties. They haven't hit Bryce Miller well. 25.4% combined K rate. I think at 8.2, Bryce Miller is going under-owned on this slate right now. Next, we got Freddie Peralta, 10.3K, 14% owned. He is our 4th highest projected. He is the highest on the consensus ranking, 10.3K, 4.5 star alert score, only 14% owned in just an amazing spot. I think Peralta is in a great spot here versus the White Sox, who really can't hit anybody. I mean, it's them and the Rockies have just been non-existent so far to start the year. Sorry, Roland, but your Rockies suck. At least your ticket prices will be low when you want to go to the games. But hey, Peralta's in a great spot. We know he has big time upside. He is 10.3K. The price is warranted. White Sox can't hit anybody. They're striking out a lot. And we got a 24% combined K rate. I'm fine going Peralta. I definitely like him at that ownership. Next, we got Garrett Crochet, 10.5K versus the Blue Jays in Toronto. Pitcher-friendly park. Blue Jays have been hitting decently, but I really like Garrett, and I think he's going under-owned here. Out of everybody on this slate, he has the highest upside. 2.94 FIP, 32% K rate over his last 20 starts. 2.3 FIP over and 31% K rate over the last 5. His pitch counts are up. He's easily going 100 pitches per game, and he's been absolutely dealing. Now, the Blue Jays, over the last 150 games, their splits look great. Over the last 20, their average is a little elevated. They're hitting the ball moderately hard, but not striking out a ton. I think this is a fine spot for a good pitcher, and I'm in on Crochet. I think he's going too low owned. I think it's a very interesting spot, and that ownership should be much higher than 10%. Reese Olson, 7,700. I wanted to give you some value guy because we pretty much stayed in the medium or upper price range. Now, Olson isn't too much lower, but I do find this spot interesting. 3.48 FIP over his last 20, 3.26 over his last 5, 22% K rate. StatCast data is okay, allowing a ton of ground balls. 34% hard contact though, so that rate is a little elevated. Astros can definitely make you pay. They got a few big hitters there, but as long as he can miss those bats, he's in a good spot. And Astros offense has been very hit or miss lately, and their strikeout rate this year is much more elevated from years prior. I think it's an interesting spot at 7,700 and 21.5% combined K rate. Don't mind going there. Let's get over to FanDuel pitchers real quick. We got DeGrom as high owned, Bryce Miller as second, Freddie Peralta, Logan Webb, and Pivetta all going under owned, as well as Crochet. So if you want to pay up to get different on FanDuel, you absolutely can do it today. There's plenty of value out there from the bats. I think it's a very interesting way to go. I do love Bryce Miller. I'm going to have a ton of him, but you can't sleep on Peralta, Webb, Pivetta, Crochet, and the ceilings that they have with them at only 1,000 or 1,500 more or something like that. Now, let's get into the stacks before we can wrap this up here. All right, so our highest owned stack of the day, we got Atlanta in Colorado versus German Marquez, who has not been good. Makes a ton of sense to want to go to Atlanta in Colorado. It's 11 game total. Nowhere else is anywhere close, so I get why people want to go there. Now our highest projected, we got Dodgers. Dodgers are versus Sandy Alcantara. The Dodgers have had his number a little bit, and Alcantara, 4.96 FIP over his last 5. 4.33 over his last 20. He has not been the pitcher that he was, from 2 years ago over the last couple seasons. I don't mind sprinkling in some Dodgers. Dodgers team ends up getting it going often. The one thing I will say is I will not be using Peralta, Freeman, Hernandez, Betts, Ohtani, all in the same lineup. It's just too much money going to my stacks. Probably only use, 2 or maybe 3 of those 4, and then sprinkling in some lower guys. Edmonds a great aspect. Podges has been great. Will Smith has been crushing the ball. There's other ways to get a little different, pay a little less for that stack, and that's probably how I would do it. Milwaukee versus the White Sox and Bryce Wilson. Wilson's been awful. Makes a ton of sense for some Milwaukee here as well. And then obviously Atlanta is popping up a little bit too in Colorado. Our highest value stacks, we got KC versus Taj Bradley. Hey, looks like a pitcher or a hitter friendly park. Warm is weather. Weather is warm. 2.5x. The only issue is these Royals bats have just not been playing up lately. But I do think it's only a matter of time till they start hitting, so I'm fine having a little bit. I don't want to go too hard on them. Detroit versus Gusto. Gusto has been very, very good to start this season. Still a young pitcher. Could definitely have some mishaps. Detroit's a solid hitting team. I don't mind having a little bit. We're not sure who's pitching for the Dodgers yet, but Miami does become interesting. I don't love the White Sox here. Texas, I think, is very interesting. Unfortunately, Jock Peterson's likely to play today, but at least he has started to hit a little bit. Hit 270 over the last week. He will slate into that middle of the lineup, and at 2,400 with the pop that he has, he is a little bit interesting if he's coming around, and there's plenty of bats in that lineup that are cheap that have some ceiling. So a little interested going there. Highest ceiling, we got Boston. Not sure who Boston's against. Seattle. It's in Seattle, which they don't hit as well in Seattle. It's a very pitcher-friendly park, but it's a great matchup versus Jack Kukanowski. Arizona versus David Peterson. I'm glad this one's here because we got to talk about this Mets weather. It's like 20 mile an hour blowing out to left to start the game. It's interesting. This Arizona offense can hit while they don't hit lefties quite as well. If they're able to get to Peterson, it could be pretty interesting. Arizona just has a ton of lefties in that lineup. You also got to consider the Mets here in this spot versus Erod, just due to the fact this wind is blowing so hard. There's probably going to be a couple home runs in that game. And talked about everybody else here, so let's get to a high leverage spot, and that is the A's versus DeGrom. I think you absolutely can consider the A's for the fact DeGrom's going high owned, and he has a 4.56 FIP so far this season. I don't mind trying to pick on a little DeGrom in this spot. If he has lost a step, you're getting a big time leverage. It's a little interesting. Angels versus Bryce Miller. I don't love this one just because Bryce is so much better at home and a very solid pitcher, but the Angels have some pop. Bryce, walks a couple guys, and then they hit a 3-run homer. It kind of ends Bryce's day as far as trying to win you a GPP, so it's definitely possible or plausible. So clicking on the teams tab, Atlanta 6.3 implied run total. It is 1.4 higher than anybody else. They're going to have a ton of ownership today, rightfully so. I don't mind having a little bit of in Colorado, but to say that they should be 1.6 implied run higher than Colorado is a lot for me. Colorado offense hasn't been good, but hey, they're in the same hitting environment. They can definitely do it. And I think that it's going to be A.J. Smith-Shawver for Atlanta. While he is a much better pitcher than German Marquez, he is still young, can get blown up, hasn't had much experience in Colorado. Who knows what happens there? Dodgers are next at 4.9. We talked about them already. Texas at 4.9. Talked about them. Milwaukee at 4.8. White Sox bullpen is bad behind the starter, as well as Miami, so both carry some additional interest. Tampa Bay 4.6 versus Lorenzen. Mets 4.5 versus Erod. So this is what's interesting. Erod 4.33 FIP over his last 20, but a 2.9 over his last 5. He's been very, very good so far this year, and maybe has found a little bit of what he had 2 years ago again, after a bad last season. So I'm interested in the Mets, but I'm also a little cautious because Erod's been good, very little hard contact, low average exit velocity, but the bullpen behind him is not very good. So there is definite interest there. Seattle at 4.3. I think you got to be interested when the hard contact and average exit velocity and bullpen numbers are as bad as they are with the Angels right now. Arizona versus David Peterson, another pitcher that's been very, very good. But hey, there is some nice hitting wins, home run wins. It just elevates the chance of this game going a little crazy. And with that, I think you got to consider some of them. That ball gets up in the air, carries a little bit. Those home runs are just so much easier to happen. Leverage stack, Atlanta, or the A's. We talked about that. I think that's interesting as well. And that's going to do it for us today, guys. Let's win some money. Hope you guys have a good one. We will be back with more tomorrow. Also, we got our props shows coming out shortly. Talk to you all later. Peace.